people don't lie with their words, they lie with their stories. But their behavior? That's where the truth hides. My friends, this is going to hit hard, because you've been told that the only way to understand someone, especially someone you're interested in, is to just ask. Ask about their past. Ask about their heartbreaks. Ask about their childhood, their trauma, their history. But here's the truth. The moment you ask, they start preparing their script. Not because they're evil, but because they want to be liked. They want to be safe. So they give you the version of the story that's been edited, filtered, and polished, just enough to sound real, but not enough to be raw. And that's where most people fall for the illusion. You think you're getting close, but what you're really getting is a performance. Now, hey folks, imagine this. Imagine someone walks into your life like a beautiful book. The cover is stunning. The first few pages, intriguing. But here's the twist. You're not allowed to read the rest. You can only judge the story based on the sentences they choose to show you. Would you trust that story? Would you build your future on that? Of course not. But that's exactly what most people do when they start dating someone new. They listen to the stories. They eat up the headlines. But they ignore the footnotes, the pauses, the patterns that say more than words ever could. Let me break a lie for you. You don't need to interrogate someone to discover their past. You don't need a list of clever questions. You need eyes that see and ears that hear what isn't being said. Because people aren't hiding their past, they're leaking it. In how they flinch when you raise your voice, in how they freeze when things get too quiet, in the way they joke about never being good enough or never trusting anyone again. That's not random humor, that's memory in disguise. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. You don't need to ask someone about their past to know what colors their soul is painted in. Just look. Look at how they respond to love. Look at what makes them defensive. Look at how they handle silence. People live in patterns, my friends, and those patterns are their real autobiography. Most just hope you never learn how to read it. And here's the part that gets wild. It's actually fun. When you stop depending on answers and start watching reactions, it's like unlocking a secret level in every conversation. You stop falling for the surface and start seeing the substance. You become dangerous in the best way, not manipulative, but awake. You stop being the one who gets blindsided and start being the one who sees it all coming. That's what real power looks like. Calm eyes, steady heart, no need to ask, no need to chase, just observe and decide. Because the people who are most dangerous to your peace aren't the loud ones, they're the charming ones who never healed. And if you miss the signs, their story becomes your regret. But not you, not anymore. So stay with me, because in this video, I'll show you how to read the truth in their reactions, not their recollections. How to spot the emotional echoes they don't even know they're sending out. And how to protect your energy while still staying open, because you deserve to connect with someone real, not someone rehearsed. And if you're with me on this, drop this in the comments right now. I see what's hidden. That's your affirmation. Say it to yourself, show it to the world, write it below to make it real. And remember, like this video, subscribe, and stay with me. The truth is already there. Let's learn how to see it. Number 1. How they react to your silence tells you everything. Silence doesn't reveal who they are to you. It reveals who they are when no one's watching. If you want to understand someone's emotional past, don't listen to their answers. Watch their reactions, especially their reaction to your silence, because silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the presence of truth. And here's the part nobody talks about. Some people don't fear arguments, they fear silence. Not because they love chaos, but because quiet moments force them to hear the things they've been running from for years. And when you go quiet, just for a moment, you'll see it. That shift in their posture, the way they look at their phone, the sudden anxiety that fills the space. That's not about you ignoring them. That's about someone else who did, long before you ever walked in. Imagine this. You're sitting with someone you're getting to know. Things have been light, fun, flowing. And then you pause. You stop filling the space. You don't text back right away. You let the conversation breathe. Suddenly, their whole energy shifts. They check in too many times. They send you after 5 minutes. Or worse, they go cold, passive, distant. You didn't do anything wrong. You just gave them space. And in that space, the ghosts showed up. This is where it hits hard. Because silence is like a mirror. And if they hate what they see in the mirror, they'll start trying to smash it. Not because of what you said, but because of what they're remembering. The last time someone went silent, they were left. The last time someone paused, they were betrayed. And now they're not reacting to you, they're reacting to them, to what they haven't healed. You might start asking yourself, why are they so uncomfortable when I'm just being quiet? Why do they take space as rejection? Why do they need a response to feel safe? And that's where the past starts to speak. They were probably raised in noise, in unpredictability, in environments where silence meant something bad was about to happen. Or worse, silence was a punishment, a manipulation, a sign that love had conditions. So now, even your peaceful pause feels like a threat to their nervous system. Seneca once wrote, "A man who suffers before it is necessary, suffers more than is necessary." But people who've been abandoned don't wait for confirmation. They brace for it. They flinch before the hit. They assume distance means danger. And the cruel part, they don't even realize they're doing it. They think they're being attuned, but really they're reliving. And here's the lie most people believe. If I just keep talking, explaining, reassuring, they'll feel safe with me. No, they won't. They'll become dependent on you to regulate their fear, and you'll become addicted to performing calm so they don't collapse. That's not connection, that's emotional codependency with a pretty filter. The truth? If someone can't sit in silence without spiraling, they haven't sat with their past long enough to understand it. And that's not your job to fix. It's your job to notice. Because silence is where the real past comes out to play, in the way they fidget, in the way they overtalk, in the way they demand answers to questions you haven't even had a chance to form yet. All of it is revealing. But here's where you rise. You don't match their anxiety. You don't scramble to fix the quiet. You hold it, with calm, with power. You let them show you what they fear, without you ever saying a word. That's Stoic psychology, not reacting to their storm, but watching it pass through, while you remain the mountain. And I know it's not easy, especially if you've been the one who always had to prove yourself. If silence was once a weapon used against you, but now silence becomes your tool, your shield, your scanner. Because a person's past isn't just in what they say, it's in how they survive the moments when no one is speaking. Let's make this real. If you've ever noticed someone spiral the moment you stopped texting or freak out when you didn't reply right away, type this in the comments right now. Silence reveals the truth. That's your affirmation. That's your lens now. Watch what happens when you stop chasing answers and just watch the space between them. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you don't need to press for information to find clarity. You just need to observe with courage. Because those who fear your silence are already telling you everything. They just hope you're too loud to notice it. And stay with me, because what I'm about to show you next will change the way you look at love forever. You think people give love? No, my friend, they receive it in the exact way they were taught to receive pain. And that is where the second clue lives. Number 2, watch how they receive love, not just how they give it. Some people don't reject love because they don't want it. They reject it because it feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. If you really want to understand someone's past without asking a single question, don't just look at how they give love. Watch how they receive it. Watch what they do when you show up with kindness, with consistency, with softness. Do they lean into it, or do they flinch? Do they open up, or do they freeze? Because here's the truth that will catch most people off guard. The way a person receives love says more about their past than any story they'll ever tell you. Picture this. You compliment them, genuinely. You say something deep, something real, and instead of receiving it with warmth, they laugh it off. They downplay it. They change the subject. They act like they didn't even hear it. That's not modesty. That's programming. Somewhere along the line, someone taught them that love is a trap, that compliments are bait, that affection has a price tag, and now, even when the love is real, they don't trust it. Because the last time it felt real, it came with pain. Or maybe you do something thoughtful, something simple, a small gift, a helping hand, remembering something they once said, and they get awkward. They look uncomfortable. They say things like, "You didn't have to do that," or "Wow, that's too much." My friend, that's not them being polite. That's them being scared. Scared that love is a transaction, that you'll expect something in return. Because in their past, love wasn't given freely. It was earned, survived, or used. Let me tell you this straight. A person's wounds are loudest in the silence after love is offered. Not in what they say, but in what they can't accept. You may try to pour into them, but if their cup is cracked from childhood, from betrayal, from abandonment, they'll either drain it or push it away. And here's the trap. Most people think, if I just keep loving them harder, they'll eventually believe it. No, that's how you lose yourself. You don't fix their hole by becoming their fountain. That's not love. That's erosion. There's a quote that says, "You can't heal someone's wounds by bleeding for them." And it applies here more than ever. Because when someone constantly shrinks away from your love, it's not a reflection of you, it's a reflection of their past. You're not the one hurting them. You're just triggering what was already broken long before you arrived. And when you see that clearly, something inside you clicks. You stop chasing their approval. You stop trying to convince them that you're not like the ones who left. And instead, you stand in your truth and watch how they handle it. People who've had to beg for scraps of love don't know what to do when it shows up in abundance. It feels overwhelming, suspicious, even dangerous. It's like offering a starving person a feast. They might look grateful, but they're also scanning for poison. That's what trauma does. It rewires the brain to see love as a threat. And unless they've done the work to heal that, they will sabotage the very thing they say they want. Now here's the twist. Some people are great at giving love. They're generous, affectionate, full of words and acts of service. But the second you turn the spotlight around, the second you give love, they stiffen up. Why? Because giving love makes them feel in control. Receiving it makes them feel exposed. And exposure to someone who was hurt in their most vulnerable moments feels like danger, not intimacy. So if you're wondering whether someone is emotionally ready for something real, don't ask about their past. Don't dig into the drama. Just give love, gently, steadily, and watch what they do. Watch the patterns. Watch for the discomfort. That's where the past leaks out, because you can fake giving love, but you can't fake receiving it. And here's your power in all this. You stop trying to prove your love. You stop over-explaining, over-giving, overextending. You give from a place of peace, not to fix them, but to see them. And once you see them clearly, you can make a real choice. Are they just unfamiliar with love, or are they rejecting it because they're not ready? One can grow with you, the other will break you trying. So let's make this real. If you've ever poured love into someone who didn't know what to do with it, if you've ever felt punished for showing up with a good heart, type this in the comments right now. I am not a repair shop. Let the world see it. Let yourself see it. Because from this moment on, you're no longer auditioning for someone else's broken lens. You're observing how they handle the love you offer and deciding if they even know what it is. You've made it this far and we're just getting started. Stay with me. Because in the next part, we'll talk about defensiveness, what it really hides, and why the topics they explode over are usually the ones that already shattered them before. Number 3, notice what makes them defensive instantly. Defensiveness is not strength. It's a scar that learned to speak before the wound ever healed. If you want to see someone's past rise to the surface without them even realizing it, watch what makes them defensive, instantly, sharply, and without warning. Because defense is never random. It's protection. And protection only exists where there's something left unhealed. My friends, the moment someone throws up a wall over something small, it's not about you. It's about them. It's about the time someone shamed them, or left them, or made them feel so small they had to build armor just to survive. Imagine this. You're in a calm conversation. Maybe you're even laughing. You casually mention something, a question, a thought, a light observation. Suddenly, the energy shifts. Their eyes narrow, their body stiffens, their voice sharpens like a blade. You feel it, that drop in temperature, that invisible barrier slamming between you. You didn't yell, you didn't accuse, but you touched something, and now they're not talking to you anymore. They're talking to their past. People become defensive when the truth brushes too close to the parts they've hidden, even from themselves. And the lie most people believe is that being defensive means they're strong, independent, or just not taking any crap. No. Real strength doesn't flinch. Real healing doesn't bite back. Real peace doesn't need to prove itself in every conversation. When someone is truly healed, they don't treat every comment like an attack. They can breathe, reflect, even say, I didn't like that. But let me think about why. But someone who's still haunted. Oh, they react fast, too fast, like a soldier hearing a firecracker and diving for cover. They learned long ago that even a small sound can signal danger. So now they don't wait to be understood. They fight to not be wounded again. You bring up something innocent, like how they reacted in a certain situation, and suddenly you're the enemy. They twist your words. They question your intent. They say things like, "Why are you always judging me?" Or, "So you think I'm broken, huh?" No, you don't, but they do, and that's the part they're trying to defend. Let me drop a truth that might sting. Defensiveness is often a cover-up for shame. Deep, buried, never spoken out loud shame. And shame, when it's triggered, doesn't ask for clarity. It demands escape. That's why you'll see people storm out, shut down, or flip the blame on you the moment something uncomfortable gets close. Not because you hurt them, but because something inside already was. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. And if their reaction is a wildfire to a candle, that should tell you something. You're not discovering new drama. You're stepping into an old battlefield, one they never cleaned up. And I know some of you have been on the receiving end of this. You've walked on eggshells, softened your truth, questioned your sanity, just to avoid setting someone off. But hear me clearly. That's not emotional intelligence. That's emotional self-erasure. You weren't being kind. You were being cautious. And that kind of caution comes from being hurt too many times by people who said they were just being real, when they were really just being reactive. Here's where your power comes back. When someone gets defensive, don't fight back. Don't try to explain your intention 20 times. Don't beg to be understood. Observe. That's it. Observe what topic set them off. Was it about trust, rejection, insecurity? What specific idea triggered the storm? Because that topic is the exact door their past is guarding. And if you're wise, if you're stoic, you don't force your way in. You watch, you take note, and you ask yourself, do I have the patience to walk beside someone who still hasn't made peace with this? Because love doesn't mean walking into someone's emotional landmine field and pretending it's a garden. And healing doesn't mean dragging someone toward the truth. They'll only resent you for it. This is what most men and women get wrong. They think defensiveness is a sign of strength or independence. No, true strength is not loud. It doesn't bite the hand trying to help. It doesn't run from reflection. It sits in the discomfort. It listens. It breathes. And it learns. That's what you're looking for. Not perfection, but willingness. So let's make it real. If you've ever been shut down, blamed, or bitten for simply speaking your truth, if you've watched someone twist your words into weapons, drop this in the comments right now. Their defense is not my fault. That's your affirmation. Say it out loud. Type it below. Let it be your emotional shield, because from this moment forward, you're not afraid of people's reactions anymore. You're reading them. You're seeing what they're protecting, what they're hiding, what they're still bleeding from. And instead of stepping into their story, you're standing in your power, watching it unfold, without losing yourself in it. Stay with me, because the next one cuts even deeper. You're about to see how trust, as a word, sounds simple. But in some people's world, it's a battlefield soaked in history. And the way they talk about it? That's the giveaway. Number 4. How they speak about trust reveals who broke it. People don't stop trusting because of what was done. They stop trusting because of how long they had to pretend it didn't matter. If you want to see a person's past walk straight into the room without them even realizing it, just bring up the topic of trust. You don't have to make it heavy. You don't have to ask them who betrayed them or when it all fell apart. Just listen. Pay attention to how they talk about it. The tone, the tension, the quietness that lingers after the word is spoken. Because trust is never a light subject, not for someone who's been burned. And the way they talk about it is usually a reflection of the person who shattered it. Some people say, "I don't trust easily." Sounds strong, right? Confident, like a boundary. But sometimes that's not a boundary. It's a scar covered in armor. That's a voice that once said, "I believe in you," and got met with a lie. That's someone who gave their heart and got handed pieces. And now they're not being cautious. They're being haunted by memories, by patterns, by the fear that every new connection will end the same way the last one did, quietly, painfully, and without warning. Then there's the other side, the ones who talk about trust as if it's foolish. You can't trust anybody. Everyone has a hidden agenda. That's not wisdom speaking, that's a wound still open. That's not experience, that's exhaustion. That's the voice of someone who kept handing out chances and got nothing but silence, lies, or betrayal in return. And now they wear their cynicism like a badge, not because it protects them, but because it's the only thing that makes them feel in control. My friends, trust isn't just about what they say. It's about what they believe, deep down, when no one's watching. And the sad truth, some people don't trust others because they were never trusted. Maybe they grew up with suspicion in the house, parents who questioned everything, accusations flying like knives, or maybe they were held to impossible standards, told they had to earn love, prove loyalty, beg for consistency, and now their entire nervous system has one mission: don't let anyone get too close, because close means danger. And here's where the lie starts to fall apart. The lie that says, if I just show them I'm loyal, they'll trust me. No, they won't. Because trust isn't about you, it's about them. You could show up on time, be honest, be gentle, be patient, and they'll still brace for betrayal. Not because of anything you did, but because someone before you trained them to expect the fall. And when trust has been broken enough times, people start rehearsing heartbreak before the love even begins. So what do? You observe. You stop trying to convince them. You stop walking on eggshells. And you start noticing the little tells. Do they jump to conclusions the moment something goes quiet? Do they need constant reassurance? Do they accuse you of things you haven't done or question your intentions even when you've been clear? Those aren't character flaws. Those are survival instincts built in someone else's war zone. Marcus Aurelius said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." But someone who's lost trust in the world doesn't want correction. They want control. They don't want to understand. They want to protect. And trust, real trust, isn't built in control. It's built in surrender, in letting go, in believing that not everyone is the enemy. The hardest part. You'll meet people who are kind, funny, magnetic, and yet the moment you try to get close, their walls shoot up like a fortress. And if you're not paying attention, you'll take it personally. You'll think you weren't enough, that you failed. But let me say this loud and clear. You are not responsible for fixing someone's broken faith in humanity. Your job isn't to prove you're safe. It's to notice when someone isn't ready to receive safety. And that's the difference between love and self-destruction. So how do you know if someone's carrying the weight of broken trust? You listen. To the tone behind their words, the way they roll their eyes at the idea of commitment, the bitterness that creeps into their voice when they mention their ex, the way they test you with little traps just to see if you'll lie. Those aren't random. That's their past knocking on the door of the present, hoping you'll walk into the same trap someone else did. And now you get to decide, not from fear, but from power. Are you walking into someone's healing process or stepping into their prison? Let's make it real. If you've ever been blamed for someone else's heartbreak, if you've felt like no matter how loyal you were, it was never enough, drop this in the comments right now. Their trust issues aren't mine. Let it echo. Let it ground you. Because it's time to stop carrying the weight of someone else's wounds. You're here to love, not to prove, to observe, not to fix, to stay grounded even when their storms rise. Because the next sign, it won't be in their defenses, it'll be hidden in their laughter, in the jokes they keep telling again and again. And when you hear it, you'll realize it was never just a joke. Number 5, their jokes aren't always just jokes. The truth will always find a way out. If it can't come through tears, it will come through laughter laced with pain. If you want to know someone's past without asking, listen to their jokes, the ones they say when the conversation is casual, the ones they throw in after a serious topic just to break the tension, the ones that make people laugh but leave you thinking, wait, was that actually funny? Or was that a warning wrapped in a smile? Because here's the truth most folks don't realize. Humor is often just trauma with good timing. Think about it. Most people don't say, I was betrayed, or I was abandoned, or I was made to feel worthless. No, that kind of honesty is terrifying. It's raw. It requires trust. So instead, they joke. They laugh about how they must be cursed in love. They joke about how everyone cheats eventually. They smirk and say, well, I'm probably just too much for people. And on the surface, it sounds light, clever, relatable. But underneath, it's grief trying to survive the conversation. You might hear them say, yeah, I'm toxic, haha, or watch out, I ruin everything I touch. And everyone laughs. Maybe you even laugh too, but inside something feels off. Like their voice is smiling, but their soul is wincing. That's not just self-deprecating humor. That's memory. That's repetition. That's a belief they've rehearsed so many times, it became a personality trait. Not because it's who they are, but because it's who they had to become when nobody saw the pain behind their silence. My friends, humor is one of the most sophisticated defense mechanisms the human heart ever built. Because when you can laugh at your pain, people stop asking questions. They stop digging. They assume you're fine. And that's exactly what some people want. Not connection, not pity, just camouflage. But here's where it gets deep. Some of the most broken people in the world are also the funniest. the most magnetic, the ones who light up a room and make sure everyone else feels seen while quietly avoiding their own reflection. Because if they're entertaining, they won't have to be vulnerable. If they're charming, they won't have to admit that they haven't trusted anyone in years. If they're laughing, they won't have to cry. And that's what makes it so easy to miss. You're out to dinner. The vibe is good. They tell a story about their crazy ex and everyone laughs. But listen closely. Was the joke about how ridiculous the ex was, or how numb they had to become just to survive that relationship? Did they brush off being ghosted, cheated on, or used as if it was no big deal? Because the bigger the laugh sometimes, the deeper the scar. There's a quote that hits home here. The saddest people often smile the brightest because they don't want anyone to feel what they feel. And that's real. Some people learned early that expressing pain got them punished, or ignored, or called dramatic, so they rewired their survival, turn heartbreak into humor. That way, they could speak the truth without anyone ever knowing it was true. But now you know. You're watching through a different lens. You're not just listening for punchlines, you're listening for patterns. And if someone's always the clown, always the one making light of their trauma, always joking about trust issues, abandonment, or never being good enough, don't ignore it. That's not insecurity fishing for compliments. That's an inner child asking, would someone still love me even if this joke was true? And I know it can be confusing, because it's so much easier to believe the joke was just a joke, to assume they're just being funny. But real connection doesn't live in assumptions. It lives in awareness, and awareness means seeing past the laugh to the pain that lives beneath it, not to fix it, not to save them, just to understand what story you're walking into. Because the danger is in taking every joke at face value, and then acting surprised when that funny, carefree person breaks down out of nowhere. When their trust issues come screaming out mid-argument, when their self-worth evaporates at the first sign of conflict, when they ghost you, not because they didn't care, but because they cared too much and believed you'd leave eventually anyway. Humor is a smoke screen, and when you finally see what's behind it, everything changes. You stop chasing the laugh and start observing the wound. So let's make it real. If you've ever looked back and realized the jokes were warnings you ignored, if you've laughed with someone only to cry because you finally saw what they were hiding, drop this in the comments. I hear what's hidden. Let that be your new way of listening, not just to words, but to what the soul is saying between the lines. Because what's coming next, it goes even deeper. You're going to see how control, the need for it, the obsession with it, isn't about power. It's about past chaos. And when you understand that, you'll never see controlling behavior the same way again. Stay with me. This gets darker, but it gets clearer. Number 6, their relationship with control tells you about their chaos. People who grew up in storms don't crave peace. They crave control because peace feels unfamiliar and unfamiliar feels unsafe. If you really want to know what someone's been through without asking them a single question, watch how they handle control. Watch how they manage unpredictability. Watch what happens when things don't go their way, or when plans change last minute, or when you say, I don't know yet. Because here's the truth most people miss. Control is not just a habit, it's a symptom. It's a survival response that screams, I've lived through too much chaos to ever relax again. Imagine this, my friends. You're dating someone who seems on top of everything. They like order. They plan days ahead. They double text to confirm. They want to know where you are, what you're doing, and how long it'll take. At first, it feels like they care, like they're just detail-oriented. But then you start to feel it, the tension when things don't go their way, the sharpness in their tone when you're 5 minutes late, the way their mood shifts if they feel even slightly out of the loop. That's not preference, that's panic-wearing perfume. You see, when someone has lived in emotional instability, whether it was a volatile home, a manipulative relationship, or a lifetime of being blindsided, they start to worship control like a god. Because in their mind, control equals safety. It's not about being right, it's about not being hurt again. So when they micromanage the day, your behavior, the entire relationship, it's not because they want to dominate you. It's because they've been dominated by fear for so long. This is how they stay upright. The lie they've been sold is this: if I control enough, I'll never be blindsided again. But the truth? Control never creates safety. It only creates pressure. And that pressure builds until it breaks every relationship it was meant to protect. Some people take control quietly. They're not loud, they're helpful, always organizing, managing, cleaning up the mess before it happens. But it's not generosity, it's tension. It's the fear that if they don't fix everything first, it'll fall apart. Because in their world, chaos wasn't just inconvenient, it was trauma. Others go the opposite route. They don't try to control everything, they just control nothing. They ghost, they avoid, they shut down. They act like they don't care about anything. But that's control too. That's the control of distance. Because if they never attach, they never get abandoned. If they stay on the sidelines, they never get blamed. And if they never ask for anything, they'll never be disappointed. That's not apathy, it's strategy. The strategy of someone who learned early that closeness equals collapse. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But people who have been through deep emotional chaos never learned that distinction. They think strength is control over others, over outcomes, over you. But real power, the kind you're learning right now, is in observation without obsession. It's in not needing to control everything to stay calm. That's stoicism. That's clarity. That's peace. But peace feels unfamiliar to people raised in fire. And that's why some people sabotage calm. They mistake stability for boredom. They call peace too quiet. They start fights just to feel something real, because silence to them feels like the moment before the explosion. They can't enjoy the stillness, because in their past, stillness was always followed by pain. So what do you do when you meet someone whose life has been shaped by chaos? You don't try to fix it. You watch it. You stop trying to be their safety net, their schedule, their emotional regulator. You let them reveal how deeply they fear losing control. And you decide, is this someone who's healing or someone who's hiding inside their patterns? Because you can't date potential. You can't fall in love with the version of them that might show up after they stop needing to control every little thing. You have to love what's in front of you, not the fantasy of what they could become if they finally relaxed. That's not love. That's delusion dressed up in hope. Let's get real. If you've ever had to shrink your freedom just to keep someone calm, if you've ever felt like you were walking on eggshells because one change in the plan might trigger an argument, type this in the comments right now. Their fear is not my leash. That's your affirmation. That's your reminder. That's your line in the sand. Because from now on, you don't get pulled into the chaos of someone else's nervous system. You don't mistake control for care. You don't call obsession love. You watch. You stay calm, and you choose peace over pressure every single time. And what's coming next might surprise you. Because sometimes the biggest sign of emotional damage doesn't show up when you're rising. It shows up when you're winning. Stay with me. The way they react to your success, that's the next clue to everything. Number 7. The way they react to your success speaks volumes. Clap for someone else's wins, and you'll hear how loudly their insecurities echo in the silence. If you really want to know who someone is without asking a single question, pay close attention to how they react when you start winning. Not when you're struggling, not when you're vulnerable, but when you begin to rise, when things go right, when life starts rewarding you for the effort you've been putting in behind the scenes. Because the truth is, anyone can be kind to you when you're broken. But the ones who clap when you're strong, those are the ones who aren't threatened by your light. Now I want you to sit with this. You get a promotion, you start getting attention, your body's improving, your purpose is becoming clear. You start showing up with confidence, vision, clarity. And suddenly, someone around you shifts. Their support turns silent. Their vibe becomes colder. Their jokes get sharper. You didn't change, you just stopped shrinking. And their response? That's not random, that's exposure. You see, people who haven't healed don't celebrate, they compete. And competition isn't always loud. Sometimes it sounds like fake congratulations. Sometimes it shows up as subtle jabs, backhanded compliments, a change in tone when others praise you. They might say, "Don't get cocky," or "Let's see how long that lasts." It sounds playful. But pay attention, it's laced with bitterness, not because you're shining too bright, but because your shine reminds them they've been sitting in the dark for too long. Here's what most people get wrong. They think jealousy is about envy. It's not. Jealousy is grief in disguise. It's the pain of watching someone else step into a version of life they secretly believe they were supposed to have, but never did. And when your success shows up as a mirror, they don't see you. They see their missed chances, their lack of discipline, their procrastination, their comfort zone dressed up as patience. And I know what some of you might be thinking, but if they love me, they should be happy for me, right? You're not wrong. But not everyone knows how to love from a place of fullness. Some people only know how to connect through shared struggle. They bonded with you when you were low. You were relatable. You made them feel safe. But now you're rising. And every step you take reminds them of the steps they didn't take. That's not your fault, but it is your clarity. You'll notice it in the way they speak about others too. How do they talk about people who are doing well? Are they encouraging? Or are they always pointing out flaws? Always finding a reason why that person doesn't deserve it? Because trust me, if they judge someone else's growth, they'll judge yours the moment it stops making them feel superior. Marcus Aurelius said, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors." And yet, that's what wounded people do. They speculate, they compare, they sabotage. Because they're so disconnected from their own purpose, they measure their worth by dimming others. And when you walk into your light, they flinch like it's an attack. But here's where you rise. You don't dim down to keep them comfortable. You don't shrink to stay likable. You don't play small just to avoid someone else's insecurity. Because here's the hard truth. Anyone who feels threatened by your healing was never safe to build with in the first place. You want real? Watch who claps when you win. Watch who stays loud when your life starts getting quiet, in the best way. Watch who celebrates your evolution even when it means you're outgrowing the things that used to bond you. That's the real love. That's the kind of energy you build a future with. And if it hurts to see someone pull away just because you're finally walking in your power, let it hurt and let it go. Because nothing robs your peace faster than someone who only liked the broken version of you. You're not here to babysit their ego. You're here to evolve, to expand, to break generational patterns with grace and fire. Let's bring this all home. You've just learned how to read someone's emotional history without asking them a thing, through their silence, their reactions, their humor, their need for control, their view on trust, and now their response to your wins. You've stopped listening to words and started watching patterns. That's not just wisdom, that's power. So here's what I want you to do now. If this entire journey hit you, if it opened your eyes to someone in your life right now, or even to your own past, drop this in the comments. I see with clarity. Let it echo. Let it anchor. Let the world know you no longer depend on stories. You read souls. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. It tells me this message mattered. Subscribe, because what we're building here is real. A new level of awareness, of strength, of stoic emotional intelligence. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and never apologize for evolving beyond the places you once felt small. I'll see you in the next one.